You think that GBA is now finding its voice conveniently?
I mean, of course. Council has sent me an unsolicited invitation, so I have to deal with that invitation. You know, it's almost as if the NDC do not realize their current position. They don't seem to have transited from opposition to government, and I understand it may take a while. They still need some time to shake the opposition off, and so I hear them speak, and I can still see traits of an opposition party. And I think that we should just give them a little bit of time. They will get there. Then they would realize the enormity of the responsibility that is currently on their shoulders, and realize that governance is a serious business, and that you cannot toy with it. And that if you fail to take up that responsibility and do it right, time will catch up with you. I mean, Council City and attempt to enumerate what they have done so much, and all I hear is launch. It's fair. I mean, 120 days. Except that they had a specific social contract with us. And that social contract, as I have it, specific events that they promise in launch is stated. So some of them, they will say, we will launch. It means that within that 120 days, that's what they will do. Others, they specifically indicated what they will do with specific KPIs in there. I think we would wait for the 120 days. Then we'll do a proper assessment of that 120 days.
Thank you for that.
It should slow down. Because, I mean, if we were to go into those things, we'll talk about a government that has completely failed on a lot of things they said in opposition.
So let's not go there.
No,
we'll change our discussion.
We'll touch on a few, of course.
I will accept the invitation.
Well, you sent out the invitation in the first place.
You promised the people of this country that immediately you come into office. In fact, some of your ministers, cabinet ministers, said any president who is worth his salt should end Galamsey in 2 weeks. The Minister for Communication said it. The president himself said that it is because the president at the time and government at the time were complicit in Galamsey issue. That is why it's unable to solve it. And you made specific promises. You said, one, you're going to repeal the LI that allows mining in forest reserve. That was quite specific, repeal. And then you speak of the fact that you back civil society organizations and unions who were calling for a state of emergency. And then you promise the people that when you come, you're not going to go after the Galamsey boys in the pit, and that you're going to go after the kingpins. You failed on almost all of these things. 120 days. These are things you don't even need 2 hours to do. State of emergency, write a 1 paragraph, memo and take to parliament. Repeal, you have over 188 or so, MPs. So, I mean, you come to office, you repeal e-levy, which is 1%, which is by choice. Not every Ghanaian is going to pay it anyway by compulsion if you choose not to send money via Momo. 1%. And then you impose on us 14% utility hike. 14%. How do we clap for you for this? You go to the cocoa farmers. 3-4 months ago, you were screaming on top of your voices, telling the cocoa farmers that the government then has shortchanged them. And that you think that the actual cocoa price per the current world cocoa price should be 6,000 for the farmers. 4 months down the line, you are moving from cocoa farm to cocoa farm with your executive chair and telling them all the problems are cocoa board, for which reason you cannot give it to them. We'll get there. When but let's move on. We'll get there. So he should hasten slowly. He should take his time. We've seen a lot of these before, and so he should take his time and at the right time would digest some of these issues. Cement price is almost 45 cedis increased as we speak, and you are touting.
Let's make progress. Let's deal with the CJ and GBA issue.
He also speaks about some misinformation. In fact, he put it out on some stabbing to death of somebody at MPP. Thank you.
I don't think he added to death.
No, he said people are losing their lives. That's what he said.
He said the loss of life.
Yeah, but nobody has lost his life. Nobody has. I just want to put that on record. Right. Nobody has lost. I think yesterday there was some misunderstanding among some Unity Hall students who apparently came to the venue, and then when they were leaving, one businessman gave them some money to share, and in the distribution of that money there was some confusion amongst the students, and that unfortunate incident happened. So currently we're even checking up on the gentleman. He's doing fine, and we thank God for that. I think it's important that we do not let these things escalate to this level. Now to the substantive matter. So anybody the NDC disagrees with would be threatened. That's the NDC's modus operandi. it's as if for the NDC, you either align and think like them, or you don't know anything. And then they are right. And then they have a certain template they apply to everybody. So if you see what the NDC is doing to the GBA right now, it's no different from what the NDC is doing to the Chief Justice. They will give you a name, tag you, and use that as a basis to attack you and call you all manner of names. What has the GBA done here? I'm not a lawyer, but I follow the GBA. I saw the GBA statement 5 days ago. The one from the governing council, which is not like the entirety of the GBA. I saw it 5 days ago. And let me tell you one interesting thing. Immediately the GBA released that statement. You know what the NDC did? Almost every NDC person all of a sudden said, finally, GBA, there's some reasonability in GBA. Finally, GBA is doing the right thing. Almost all of them. The Minister of State for Government Communications, Felix, I'll just pick only him. This GBA statement is a marked departure from their traditionally hostile stance towards NDC government. The GBA, like others, have yet to demonstrate any constitutional infraction on the part of the President and the Council of State in the CJ matter. Then he gleefully shared the statement from GBA on his Facebook wall. And you should go and see the comments by the NDC guys under his post. Finally, Abayin Papaba, democracy is thriving, freedom is here. Beautiful. You never heard any MPP person go on an attack on the GBA. You never heard any MPP person go and say, GBA, why are you siding with them? Why are you there? And calling them all manner of names. There was no MPP inclined lawyer that came to say, GBA, because you've said something or written something that seemed to align with government's position, we are no longer GBA members and you are a crook, a group of whatever. We never heard that. Then out of nowhere, was it yesterday or 2 days ago, the GBA go for their mid-year conference. Then the conference that has its rules and regulations as to how decisions are taken. Just as decisions are taken in Parliament and not everybody supports, but we all agree that Parliament has decided based on maybe 2/3 or 1/3 according to the standing order. The GBA, the body that council is a member of, goes to take a decision. That decision is based on how GBA takes their decision. Then they pass a resolution with specific concerns and admonition or counsel to the President on the issue of the Chief Justice. Then all of a sudden, the NDC that 5 days ago were all over the place praising the GBA and telling them that finally you are saying something to support the NDC. Finally, there is freedom. Finally, there is democracy. All of a sudden, the NDC are now calling the GBA names to the extent that now, simply because this particular resolution, which is passed by the bigger group of GBA, which is not only Joe Gate's wife as president, okay, the bigger group of GBA is now MPP, and that it's partisan, and that it's political, because they disagree with you. And now you are throwing threats to them. Isn't it the same model or template that the NDC are using to deal with the Chief Justice? You recall that in Ho, when the NDC lawyers met, the president today stood in front of them and said that the only way the judiciary can be fixed is with the new Chief Justice. And that when he becomes president, he's going to balance the bench. And that in his opinion, the bench is actually skewed towards the MPP. Then the president, now the opposition leader then wins power. Then when he wins power, the first 100 days, what he sought to do is remove the Chief Justice on frivolous, fictitious, criminally minded petitions with reasons like, one, why are you sanctioning your own staff at the judiciary? It's one of the issues in the petitions. Two, why did you travel with your husband and wife
and child
at the at the expense of the judiciary? It's part of the petition. Three, why did you scream and shout at a lawyer in court? Four, you sat on the decision with a set of justices on an issue brought by the minority, which we felt that your conduct was wrong. These are the reasons, critically, key reasons. These are the key reasons.
And they don't meet the threshold of
these are the key. No, hold on. Don't worry about meeting the threshold. But these are the key reasons. It's important because see, as we have all this discourse, one of the things they sought to do, the government sought to do until there were leakages, was to try to shield even these petitions because they knew that these petitions were fictitious. They didn't make sense. The president travels with his wife, travels with his son. At the expense of the state.
The conditions of service at the executive
hold on. The Chief Justice has responded with what she has as her conditions of service.
Right.
And they sit rightly in at the right whatever in terms of her conditions of service. The Chief Justice who controls the judiciary, that has nothing to do with the executive. How can you, the Chief Justice, take a decision on your staff, then the executive, another independent arm, completely independent arm comes to you and say, why are you sanctioning your staff? And it's in a petition. It is one of the issues on the petition. But let me even put those substantive matters, because those will be dealt with at the committee level. And come back to the GBA. Why should you call the GBA names? At best, disagree with them. At best, disagree with them. Indeed, I don't think that the GBA also in their decision making or even in their knowledge or wisdom knows everything. Because they are also made up of lawyers.
Exactly.
Lawyers disagree, even in the same chamber.
Yeah.
Before they prepare to go to court, they will discuss several options and they will disagree. So they may be wrong. But they have also tabled to you what they believe is their view.
Sure.
I don't think the NDC that is being paid by the taxpayer, that is supposed to be leading the charge in the development of this country, including protecting our democracy, should be speaking to the GBA in such arrogant manner. What is their crime? They disagree with you.
Are the demands by the GBA tenable?
You can choose not to cede to them. That's my position. You can choose not to cede to them. Because ultimately, the GBA and other lawyers or other citizens can also decide to go and test these issues in court.
Right.
For me, in this country, like we say, the law is in the bosom of the judge.
Exactly.
So we can always disagree on these things so long as a judge has not ruled on it. But these are the views of the GBA. Why are you calling them names? For Christ's sake, whoever is the president, the general secretary, the leadership of the GBA were voted for by you lawyers. Give them some respect. The same way you gave them that respect 5 days ago. Don't drag down the association that you are part of simply because they've taken a decision that you are rather being partisan. The only reason why you are speaking this way is because they have taken a decision or they've passed a resolution that you think goes against your political party. I don't think the GBA is as partisan as you are being.
Could the GBA have waited for this conference to pass a resolution before bringing out that earlier statement?
But if you look at
that sort to support what
the earlier statement doesn't contradict this. The earlier statement basically said that we have taken notice. It's there. We have taken notice of what has been going on and all of that. Our view is that the processes should be transparent and accountable and all. That was a summary of the earlier statement. The earlier statement did not seek to even go into the substantive matter.
So could they have just waited?
How does the earlier statement contradict this? Just tell me the connection if you're able to establish that.
But could they have waited to go for the conference to pass the resolution with the larger body?
That question is coming in only when there is a thought that the earlier statement or the current statement contradicts the earlier one. If you're able to establish that, they will say, oh, then maybe you should have waited. You understand what I'm saying? But that's notwithstanding. This is an association that's expressing its views. Why are you attacking them? It is your inconsistencies that is being exposed. It is your sheer partisanship over the progress of this country that is being exposed. The fact that you premeditated the removal of the Chief Justice before you came to office. The fact that immediately you came to office, you have sought to go after the Chief Justice and the Electoral Commissioner. That is what is being exposed right now.
I haven't heard about any move.
Don't worry. Let me put it on record here. That will be the next thing after this one. And I have told you, and I have put it on record that I don't care. Honestly speaking, I don't care. The reason why I don't care is that if that is the precedent you want to set it. You will not be in government forever.
So you come and do same?
Oh, why not? But if presidents can be law. You are aware that presidents sometimes can be law. This has never happened before. We've never had this situation before. In fact, the very few times we've had the judiciary being shaken in this country is by the same government, the same party, the same NDC. In 1982, hold on. In 1982,
I need you to learn so we
in
can
1982, when our judiciary was scaffolded in this manner, people died. And we are even fortunate that this time the Chief Justice should thank God that this time this party they haven't put a gun to her head. Because in 1982, they went to Justice Cecilia Cranton's home in my constituency, brought her out at a time when she had a baby that she was breastfeeding and shot her to death. To date, we don't know what happened to her under their government. And so it is the same party, the same model. But
you just described what happened to them.
They seem to have, but if they never took responsibility. They never took responsibility. But you see, they seem to have a certain sheer hatred for the judiciary if you look at their history. I don't think that the way they are going is right. But it's up to them.
Very well.
Eventually, when time catches up with them and they realize what time it is and the position they are in now, and realize that they are no longer in opposition, but now they hold a fiduciary relationship with the people and must make sure that they do what is right and not speak arrogantly and water down and brush everybody in this country. When that time comes, we'll be here to discuss that.
Very well. Thank you. Thank you.